In this project, you're going to create a top 3 or a top 5 or a top 10 list that can be any topic of your choosing. I'm going to do top 3 crazy football comebacks, but yours doesn't have to be related to sport at all. It could be the top 3 locations in an open world video game that you like, or it could be the top 3 or top 10 Minecraft tips and tricks. So whatever it is that you would like to do, have a bit of a think about it before you get started. You can always change once you get started, but it makes it a bit easier. So this is my website anyway, so top 3 crazy football comebacks. As you can see, I've got a very large heading here and then subheadings, some text as some background, and also I've embedded YouTube videos here. Now, again, with yours, I don't want you to just go and find a top 10 YouTube video and put it on your website. I've gone and I've chosen the top 3 here, and I've found clips that just show that particular game, the final few minutes of that particular game that I'm talking about. And then I've put them in. So we're not reusing someone else's top 10, we're making our own. Another thing to think about is that you don't necessarily need to embed YouTube videos. You can also embed images. You learned how to do that in previous projects, or you can look it up, but I'm embedding YouTube videos here. So let's get started. Can you go to Google and type in JS, just the letters J and S, Fiddle, F-I-D-D-L-E, and it should come up with the result, JSFiddle Code Playground, and if you click on that. So let me just explain what JSFiddle is. It's basically a very, very useful website that you can type your web development code here, and the result will appear here. So for example, at a very, very simple level, I can just type hello and hit run, and the result will appear over here. It's not very interesting, obviously, at the moment, but we can improve that. So the first thing I'd like you to do at JSFiddle is to create yourself an account. So if you click sign in here, and then you can click on sign up. Okay, so hopefully you've paused and done that. The next thing I'd like you to do is to click on the settings over here and click on tabs, columns. So basically, again, I'll just type the hello and I'll explain here. Basically, there are multiple different languages that you will be typing code in. The main ones are HTML and CSS, and in fact, I'm just going to drag CSS over there because we're not using JavaScript for this particular mini project. So HTML is like the content of your page, the text, the images, those sorts of things, and CSS is the style, basically making it look good. So we can flick back and forth between those two and we can see the result over here. So just again, you go to settings, click on tabs, columns, and then click away. Now I just want to explain quickly how the saving system works in JSFiddle. So every time I make a change or even just hit save, you'll probably notice that the number on the end here, it might be hard to see, but it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. This is because JSFiddle uses something called version control, which means that every single time you save it, all your previous copies are saved as well. So if you decide that, oh no, I completely messed up what I'm doing, I want to go back to version 1 instead of version 2, I can just put that in the bar here and it will go back to the previous version. Also, if you click over here on the blue icon and go to your fiddles, you'll see that there it will save, it's only got one obviously, but it will save all of your projects here, and if you click on there it will go to the latest version. So for me it's version 2 up there. I'm going to go over here and say top 5 football comebacks, but you should do whatever your one is that you're going to do, and we hit save as often as we can. So the H1 tag allows you to make a heading that is the most significant, usually the largest, the most colorful perhaps, and my heading is going to be the top 3 crazy football comebacks. So if I hit save, that should run, and as you can see, there is my heading. Now for this one, now you'll notice I just hit tidy there. If you hit tidy, it'll make your code really nicely set out. So it's a good thing to hit every now and then. So this website, you'll probably realize, also has subheadings for number 3, number 2, number 1, etc. And I'm going to use H2 for that. I'm actually going to start with my number 1. Although my plan is to have number 3, then 2, then 1, but I'll just insert them higher up. So I'm going to start with my number 1, which for me is Manchester City's first English Premier League title. And that's, so I've got the large heading here and I've got the slightly smaller heading here. And when we get to the CSS, we'll be able to style those two differently as well, which will be really useful. Next, I'm going to put a paragraph tag and insert the text for this particular, for number 1. It's really important that you don't just post a video, you also give a little bit of background so that the viewers of your website have some context. And the final thing that we'll do to start off with is embed the video underneath. Now, if you can't find a good video or a good image for your one of the entries in your top 5 or 10 or whatever it is, you might like to actually leave it out. There was a game in 1999, the Champions League final, which is probably the greatest comeback of all time, and with Manchester United winning. But the videos, I couldn't really find a particularly good video for that, so I've decided not to put it in. So let's head over to YouTube. And as you can see, I found the video that I want to embed, but I don't actually care about the first part of the video. I only care about the part where they start to make the comeback. So that's around about here. So I'm actually going to click on the video at the part that I want it to start at, and then I'm going to go down to Share, Embed, and click on this Start at 544. I'm also going to click Enable Privacy Enhanced Mode. It just stops YouTube tracking a little bit some of the users who come onto your site. And then I'm going to copy the code here, go across, and embed that into the page here. And as you can see, it comes up at exactly the spot where we decided it. Not at the start of the video, but at the exact point we wanted. So as you can see now, we have our number 1, and if I was to add number 2 and number 3, I'd probably just Control-C and Control-V this, and then I can simply go and make changes, replace the YouTube embed code, etc. But the way that I'm working for this project is, once I've done one of these, I'm just going to go over onto the styles, and then I'll come back and do the rest of these later. So if we go over to the CSS, the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of style in for the body of the website. So I'm pretty keen to get everything centered and to get the color, the background color, a little bit nicer. I'm going to go and get a nice background color. Because mine is football, I was thinking grass as a background would be nice, but generally you don't want a really bright color. You want it generally looks better if it's a little bit washed out. So if you head down towards the left here, obviously if you go over here you get to grey, which I don't want. But if you make it a little bit more sort of subdued, toned down than what you think, it'll look good as a background color. So I'll copy this and I'll say background color. Remember American spelling, C-O-L-O-R. And there we go. Now, if I just write color, that refers to the text color, and I think we'll just go with white, like that. And maybe I'm not particularly happy with this green. Maybe I wanted a little bit more saturated, a little bit more green. So I'll copy that, replace that. There we go. I think that sort of gives the impression of being a grass background a little bit more. And it's kind of good because the white text sort of reminds me of the white lines on the pitch. Again, you should choose colors and fonts and all of these things that suit your topic, that look good with your topic. How do I get it in the middle? So I say text align center, C-E-N-T-E-R, so American spelling again, not T-R-E. And already we can see we're starting to look a little bit better. One problem that we sort of have is I actually want all of the content to be sort of locked in the same width as these YouTube videos. I don't want the text spiraling out to the sides like that. So what we can actually do is we can say the max width of the body of the website is 560 pixels. Now the reason I've said 560 pixels is because that's the width of the YouTube video. So I could change the width of the YouTube videos in there, but I'm just going to stick with 560 pixels. And you can see that now it's all the same size or width as the YouTube videos. But it's stuck back over on the left-hand side. And the reason for that is because the whole body of the web page defaults to being over on the left of the page. When it's the full width of the page, it doesn't matter being on the left. But if we want to actually make it so that there's an equal margin on the left and right side, we have to type in margin auto, and hopefully that will put it back in the middle of the page. Another thing I'm going to do is I don't like how high it is up at the top, so I'm going to add a little bit of padding around the outside. So if I write padding, and if I say that the padding will be 0 to the left and right, but then 50 pixels at the top and bottom. Oh, did that work? No, I got that round the complete wrong way. So it is hopefully the other way around. Okay, and you can see that that's just given me a little bit of space up the top. Maybe I only want 20 or so. So you should tinker around with these numbers yourself and make sure that you get something that's good for you. So I have added another few different entries in the list. I've got 3, 2, and 1 now. And the next job of us is to make this text sort of the right size we want, the right colors, the right font that we want. So let's go into the CSS and do that now. Before I do the size, I might actually do the font, and I'm just going to do a single font this time. So if we go to Google Fonts and click on this one, Fonts Google Developers, because we are being developers, see available fonts. Now you can look through and find any font that you think matches your particular topic. But for mine, I think I used, Able. I used Able. So Google's remembered up here the fonts that I was using previously. I'm actually going to remove those. And I love this emoji. we're going to go down and click on select, and now that's been added, and the first thing we do is copy this one without the style tags. We don't need the style tags. Now the reason we don't need the style tags is JSFiddle does that for us. You can imagine that this whole CSS file is all between two style tags. You can sort of imagine that. So at the top of our CSS file, this will import the font able, and then for our H1, our headings, actually, we want that font for everything, so I'll just put it in the body here. Font family. Font family, able. And remember, we want a backup out of either serif, sans serif, monospace, or cursive in case our Google font doesn't load. Okay, and as you can see now, we can make our decisions about size a little bit better because we have the best font. So for the H1, I just want to make the heading one a little bit better. So I'll say a little bit bigger. So I'll say font size 40 pixels. Okay. So I just want to explain quickly, the reason it's called cascading style sheets is if you have something that encompasses everything, like the body, anything you put in there, your selection, so for example, saying you want this font in the body, that will cascade down through all of the smaller elements on the page, such as headings. If I put a different font in here, for the heading, oh, why did that not work? Unknown word. Sorry, I had to pause it there because I typed the wrong thing. So if I said that H1 was monospace, the way that it works is because the body of the web page is the most general, highest level thing, every single thing in the body will be able font, and then if I can override it for a more specific thing like a heading, but everything else you can see is still in able. I don't want to override it, so I'm going to take that out, and I think that's looking pretty good overall. Okay, so you should go through, and whether you decide to make it a top 3, 5, 10, etc., go through and make sure that it's you spend lots of time tinkering with making all of the colors match up nicely, the fonts match your theme, having really good information in the paragraphs here. I've just done a very basic job, and really picking either videos or images that you like. Okay, if you're still here just to be reminded how to get an image, instead you can here remove this and put in an image tag and say src, which is the source of the image, quotation marks, and you can put in you can just go onto Google. I might go find a picture of Robert Lewandowski, which I misspelled. Okay, and let's say we like this picture. We can right click and go to copy image address and then paste it in here. And that is way too wide, so we can say width equals 560 pixels. Oops, I clicked on completely the wrong thing. Okay, and as you can see, now we have an image instead of a video.